Facebook. Didn't I tag all of you on Facebook?
I got a tag for something.
On Facebook, where I tagged you, share it on your timeline. Bring more people in. Of course, the link I gave them is going to be the one where they can only view, not the one where they can actually join in.
Okay.
Who's the lady that's joined now?
Well, let's see if everybody can do a quick roll call. I guess we'll start with the most seniority, Elise.
Yeah, why I got the most seniority?
Aren't you the oldest person here?
Huh? Oh, the first one here? Oh, okay. I didn't know what you meant.
No. I said that wrong. What I meant is you have done the most of these with me, so you know how to say hello and tell everybody blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay. That's my specialty. My name is Elise Robinson. I live in Merida, Mexico now. I did 2 years in Mexico City before that. I am an immigrant. I am not an expat. I am a permanent resident of Mexico. I love it here. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. My Spanish is but it's getting there.
Next, Dora. Hello, Marilyn.
Yep, I'm here.
Go for it. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Okay. Marilyn, born and raised South Africa, global traveler, lived for 7 years in Brazil, did a stint in Thailand, didn't really love that. Brazil's the home, where the heart is and where I hope to retire one day. Returned back to South Africa about 18 months ago. Yeah, I met Yusef in Sao Paulo when I was still living in Brazil before I came back. And yeah, just kind of connected with lots of, I think we're in a lot of the same groups, aren't we, Yusef?
Yeah, we are. We're in a lot of different expat groups and a lot of
groups, support groups.
Lots of different stuff. We kept and I remember, I think we crossed paths several times before I actually met you.
No, 100%. It happened like that.
Yeah, you were kind of legendary in your city when I was starting to become legendary in mine. Everybody, you need to meet.
Yeah. It was a case of we needed to meet each other. I think more because we had so much insight on. You had so much insight on Sao Paulo. I had so much insight on Rio, and whenever people would join or expats would come in, it will be like, check out Marilyn, ask her. She knows what's going on. So yeah, that's really where my heart is. Like Elise loves her Mexico, Brazil, Rio is mine.
Gotcha. Yeah. Next up.
Hey, I'm Unique, and I'm currently in Oaxaca, Mexico, and I've been here for like 8 months or something. Did a couple years in Asia.
Already.
I know, but I leave in a week from today, going home to America. But I eventually plan to be a permanent resident here in Mexico. But I'm in grad school, so I have to go back to do my internship, and then I don't ever plan on living there again after that. So yes.
Your internship in what?
School counseling, education.
Okay.
Because I met you when you were in China. Didn't you come to China when I left China?
Yes. Like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Just about 4 years ago for me. I know that we did that we passed like ships in the night, and I know you had a YouTube channel.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel talking about traveling and things.
Gotcha. Well, what I want to talk to you guys about, and I wanted to talk to Elise especially about this because I know she can kind of go off the deep end, but bring it home sometimes, was I was talking to some people about conspiracies. For example, I don't necessarily know the technical aspects, but it got into a greater conversation. There was a person who I'm going to loosely define as a rapper. His name was Nipsey Hussle, which was a moniker after Nipsey Russell. And he was murdered. He was murdered. Now, apparently he's this world-renowned rapper musician. I don't know anything about his style of rap. That's not my generation. But afterwards, a lot of stuff came out that he had been doing all these huge community projects, lots of things for Black people and for poor people in his neighborhood. And to go off on a side tangent, I got into a couple of heated debates about whether or not you can legitimately say you are a friend of the people, especially the downtrodden, and still advocate gang culture. The problem is there are a lot of people who said he was taken down by the government and that it was very convenient that he was someone who was doing good things in the community, building educational platforms, bringing jobs to the neighborhood that he came from, and that there may have been a concerted effort by state or federal law enforcement to eliminate him as quickly as possible. Now, while both sides have some merit, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat and say it wouldn't be the first time a community leader in the United States or South Africa or any leading nation had been intentionally murdered because of the strides they were making, particularly when they transition away from I'm a street person to, hey, you know, maybe we should just start investing in our own community, saving money. Or on the other hand, could it have just been, you know what, you live in the gang culture for more than 2 decades of your life, whether or not you had a choice, there's a chance that you could be shot just like so many other people in your neighborhood. I don't know who wants to jump on that first. I just gave you the whole package. I know that was kind of big.
Well, I mean, that hasn't been the conspiracy theories or theory that I've been seeing. It's over this Dr. CB, the fake doctor CB documentary. I haven't seen anything on my timeline saying about, oh, because he was a community leader, that's why he died. I'm just like, to get on fake Dr. CB, I mean, he literally said that women shouldn't have periods and that sperm is supposed to be green. So I don't think that is the reason why someone would come up dead.
That's why we love
yeah.
Someplace, I don't know what's going on. Can you, Dr. who?
Dr. CB.
Well, yeah, Dr. CB. And he did the thing with Left Eye. Left Eye had a documentary with him, and she got killed. So, you know, people are trying to relate that to one another.
So, yeah, and you know, the thing is that most people ain't gonna change their lifestyle, their diet, or nothing like that. So, what would the so-called government be scared of? And like I'm saying, he's touted some ridiculous stuff. He's not a real doctor. So, I mean, be scared of what?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add on this for 2 reasons. I'll tell you why. One, because I'm not deep into the rap that whole street kind of music scene, so I honestly didn't know who he was. Yeah, I honestly didn't know who this guy was. I think when it crossed my Facebook, I recognized his fiance or girlfriend because she had acted in a few movies with the nice dimples, the gorgeous little short, thick girl. I knew her, but until I saw this like this week, I didn't know who this guy was. I'm not big on rap. I'm not into that scene. I'm not into that vibe. So you know, when these rappers get taken out or shot or whatever, I pick up as it goes along, but it's not something that I would say that culture I'm familiar with. So I don't really know what I read something about this Dr. CB story as well, and I was like, let it go. But yeah, I don't really know the story, so I don't have much to offer in terms of what's been said and how it's linked to whether it was because of, you know, his affiliation to gangs or whether it was a conspiracy that the government got in. But listen, anything's possible in America. Like I honestly believe that could have happened, but I don't really know the details. And I think until they catch someone and question someone, I would be one person who would stand back on this one and be like, okay, let's read and see what happens.
For example, there are things that we found out much, much later in life that were 100% true. For example, we can go far as back as Prohibition. Did you know that the United States government poisoned illegal alcohol to kill people who were drinking?
I can believe it.
Like,
I can honestly believe it. I mean, we have similar histories. You know, we grew up in apartheid, so we had exactly the same kind of human targets that you had when they were testing any kind of drugs, any kind of harmful products, any kind of contraceptives and shit like that. It will always be on the African Black people. So if you're telling me that, this is the type of thing that I wouldn't really investigate when it comes to how Black people are treated and the way they've been targeted in history, I would automatically go and believe that, okay, this could have happened. And that's why I'm saying this guy could have been targeted by the government, but
it's not. We know that Black people, but in the United States, we know that the United States government will kill anyone.
Yeah, 100%. No. The United States government will kill any Black person. Let's not say anyone. Any Black person. Let's start there.
True.
Let's start there.
True.
Yeah, let's start there. There are white men in America that are walking around after having waved guns and machetes and all sorts of bullshit. We've seen it live on TV. We watch it and we see what's happening. We're not stupid. And they get taken in. They get given rides to McDonald's. They get given food and all those wonderful things. A Black man innocently walking, a Black child, not a Black man, a Black child innocently walking the streets of the United States is like fair game. So let's not say anyone. Let's start with saying a Black man. We know that any Black man is a target in the United States.
Here's the other problem.
If it was on my timeline about, him dying because of he was a community activist, that would be different. But that's not what I've been seeing on my timeline. They can get the hell on with this Dr. CB stuff.
But here's the other problem. We can talk about that, but we can talk about how long did it take to find out, for example, that the United States federal government would run programs. Well, let's go back for a minute. What if we told you that the Tuskegee syphilis experiment was one of many? That the Tuskegee syphilis experiment that was run on Black men was 100% a secret that we found out later to be true, but that was just one of many.
Yeah. And that's why I can honestly believe it. Contraceptives, back home here, I remember reading.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, my mother used to work for Department of Corrections in California, and she would tell me all the time, she was like, that's why they need a prison population, because they test stuff on people.
100%.
Wow.
100%. I honestly believe that is a reality. That I know in South Africa that used to happen. So I can 100% believe in the US it happened, because in the US, South Africa learned everything they needed to do in apartheid from the United States. They sent a task team from South Africa in the 1940s to go down to Mississippi, to go down to Alabama and find out what are they doing to keep Black people in check, what procedures are they following, what scare tactics they have, and everything that they've learned. They've either learned it from the United States, they picked up some stuff from Australia and their involvement with the Aborigines, they picked up some stuff as well from Canada and their involvement with the natives there. So for me, and sorry, not like the Native Americans, for me, if you tell me that they were, I don't know, using them as targets, using Black people as, I will tell you, yes, it did happen. I don't need to, because it's so deep and because it's so real, I don't need more evidence than what I've heard and what I know from our own history to know that this was 100% possible.
I agree.
Wow. Unique? You with us?
I'm with you. I just think it's a bunch of hogwash, really. I feel like people in America would say anything is a conspiracy, which may or may not be true. Like she said, with the whole Dr. Sabibi, I mean, most people don't even know who he is. So why would you kill somebody over someone that nobody even knows they exist? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Now, maybe it is the fact that he is a community activist and the government is trying to switch it around and say, oh, it's about this Sabibi thing, so people will automatically discredit it. That could be it if we want to say a bigger conspiracy or something like that. But I mean, I don't agree. This is my answer. I don't think that that's what it is.
Yeah, because everybody's like, well, this documentary comes out, it's going to change the world. I'm just like, really? What?
That guy had a documentary and she was killed, and people were trying to say that she was killed because of her documentary with Dr. Sabibi. And she, got into a car accident, and they were trying to say it was a government setup because her documentary was coming.
Here's the question. But here's the question I have for you, Unique. What does a conspiracy need? if we can say, you know, one person tells you that you have a tail, they're crazy. If two people tell you have a tail, you think maybe something's in the water. But if three people tell you have a tail, you may actually have a tail. Because the question you would also have to ask is, how many people do the average person have in common when they die not from natural causes? Let's take a great political example. The Clintons, Bill and Hillary. We know people die all the time. Unfortunately, statistically, an enormous number of people who have done business with them and then finished doing business with them later have died. Like a disproportionately high number. This is common knowledge. You can find it online. For some reason, after doing business with them, particularly if you're on a government list or you may be giving testimony at some point, they just end up dead, which is a crazy thing until you research and find out the average person doesn't have that many people their age who just die of unnatural circumstances. It just doesn't happen. You've got to start to ask. I'm not saying it's true, but what I am saying is, you know, when is it no longer conspiracy? When does it legitimately have chops? Like, excuse me for that noise in the background. When does it legitimately become something worthy of investigation?
I mean, when you have some kind of evidence, you can say whatever you want, but if you have no evidence, nobody cares. At the end of the day, there's always going to be someone who's trying to discredit you, no matter if it's true or if it's not. If you don't have something to show saying, oh, I had these emails from Hillary Clinton saying, kill this person or whatever, no one's going to believe, you know, it's going to be a very slim population that's going to believe that that's happening.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I'm saying I think in this Nippy or Nipsey, whatever his name is, in his case, there's going to have to be somebody caught and questioned and interrogated.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I think that. Yeah, I think the strange thing is they went all the way out to find Osama bin Laden in a damn cave and were able to drag him out and shoot him and kill him. And here there's a guy that was killed in the middle of LA, like one of the biggest first world cities, with cameras everywhere, with loads happening. And you're trying to tell me that within 24 hours they couldn't hunt and track down this guy?
Well, they do
doesn't make
now.
sense.
He's in custody.
Oh, is he in custody now?
But he said he didn't do it.
But here's my question. How long does he last in custody? Would it be a matter of, oh, someone in prison who was also affiliated with the gang kills him? Or wouldn't it be a really nice package if the assassin died in prison at the hands of a crazy prisoner and it was just all neatly tied up in a boat? Again, I'm just throwing this fish out there.
That happens all the time.
Well, then I'll start following. I'll start following the story I'll fall on the theory that something's fishy here. But until then, for me, it really could be gang related. It could be a beef, something unresolved. It could be, I don't know. There could be a plethora of things that could have gone wrong. So until there's evidence,
the dude that supposedly killed him that they have in custody went in there, and I guess there was an altercation and they stomped him. And then, like, you know how it goes. So, you know, people can't handle stuff cordially. So,
yeah, they put him in solitary confinement, and he's in solitary confinement right now, for his safety. So if something did happen with another prisoner, then people will start looking at the guards like, oh, isn't he in solitary confinement? How did he get killed or something like that? So it just wouldn't make sense. People will really start looking. And for me, it's like people are so focused on this Nipsey person, but it could be that this was a setup to deter you from the real issues that's happening in America right now.
It's always a deterrent. It's always that way.
It's like, get everybody hyped up on this conspiracy while we're over here doing God knows what that we shouldn't be doing. You know, that's what I think is really happening. To me, if we're going to talk about conspiracy, that's what I think. Like, I don't know.
I just read an article today that there was 10 church bombings. I haven't read it yet because I sent it to somebody and then hopped on here. But 10 church bombings within like a couple of days, I believe it said.
Wow.
So
is this in the US?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me read the headline again. Let me see what it said. But yeah, 10 of them. And the article was on the 5th, I believe it was. So that was a couple of days ago. So yeah, when you know, Unique, you talk about, you know, being deterred from the real issues. I mean, You know, Nipsey ain't a real issue, you know, in the scheme of things, you know.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like people just jump on the bandwagon.
I think people have got bigger issues that they should be worried about. And I think there are bigger issues that can be focused on. I'm not saying his issue is not significant and it shouldn't get attention
Okay,
for the
it's
reasons
three
that people
black
are saying. But
churches have burned in 10 days. I got it wrong. That's why I went over there and looked. Three black
wow,
churches have burned in 10 days in a single Louisiana parish. So in one town,
wow,
somebody's going around bombing black churches.
wow,
And
Wow,
have
and
you
this is
heard about that?
2019.
No.
April 5th,
wow.
2019.
Oh, wow. That's
Right, and I
horrible.
haven't seen one post, not one post. But if I go to my timeline, I'll see so many Nipsey posts, and I'm like, do we even know who this guy is? Like, I didn't know he was a
Yeah,
community activist. I had to go and Google that.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well,
Honestly, I didn't even
here's
bother
the
to
thing.
Google.
For us to go back to the other side, he was becoming a well-known community activist, but again, I'm going to segue here. He built his fortune on, and this is where I'm becoming, I tell everybody, I'm transitioning into grumpy young man to grumpy old uncle stage in life. When you get to that point, you realize his fortune was built on propagating every horrible thing that could justifiably happen, but then saying, isn't this awesome? Because one of the things that some of the more progressive black leaders point out is that it's not just music. There's no other organization that you would have the audacity to say these things about other than your own, and you would never think to. And it's like, okay, do we have blight in the urban communities, not only because of what the government has done to poor people up and down the spectrum that are black, brown, and Latino especially, but when you revel in it, when you, instead of saying, wow, I came from a community that bred me to commit acts of murder, to shoot, to do horrible things, and that was horrible. Instead, it's the other way. Wow, isn't this amazing?
Glorifying.
I mean, I had one lady argue me down about him being a Crip and stuff, and she was like, well, what did he do as a Crip? I'm like, bruh, he was a Crip. What do you think he did?
Right, he was a gangbanger, and it's like, you can't be a
What do you
gangbanger for
think he
20
did?
years. Yeah, you can't be a gangbanger for 20 years of your life, and then everyone is so surprised when something happens. Everyone is so surprised, but you were a gangbanger for, so many years. People hold grudges, but nobody says
100%.
that. It's got to be the government.
100%. Yeah, I just think you
it
guys
would
have
be
got bigger issues.
it would be one thing if they had killed, a so-called upstanding citizen or whatever, and and we can go back and forth on whether it was conspiracy or not. But this one right here, I don't know what to tell people. You know what I'm saying? He was a gang member. I mean, he was a Crip. I mean, he got tons of enemies, and he didn't did so much dirt. So I mean, conspiracy of what?
It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Well, I mean, because when we look at conspiracies, the strange part is so many of them turn out to be true. Like I remember when Edward Snowden threw away a comfortable federal job, a large salary of, I think, he was making $250 a year to do simply what he thought was right, and reveal things that we had speculated on for years but had no way to confirm. For example, Operation Prism, that the federal government is in fact mass harvesting. What that means is they're not looking at YusefWateef individually, but the United States federal government does have a program that simply soaks up every possible thing I could say or do. And later in life, if they need to use that or go back and find out something, they can go back. And it's scary because one of my cousins who's gay said it to me this way. He says, imagine you're not out gay. You run for mayor of your city, you get elected, and then the government comes to you and says, oh, by the way, we have all these years of private conversations between you and your boyfriend, and if you don't pass this piece of legislation, it's all going to get accidentally dumped onto online. They weren't looking for him, but they just had everything just in case. Now imagine doing that for billions of Americans who have a lot less to hide than just being gay.
Yeah.
Well, see, my issue with things like this is that, when it comes to America and all the things that Black people, not even Black people, but all minorities go through, and not even minorities, poor white people as well, richer getting richer. And it's like, yeah, we can have all these talks and stuff, but what action are we actually taking? For me, I don't even live in America. I don't even like America. I don't plan to live there ever again. So it's just kind of like, what actions are people actually taking to make any changes? Like, we can have millions of talks, but is anybody out there in the streets picketing or whatever they do to make change? I don't even know, but talk is nice, but how are we going to make a change?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a guy.
And
go ahead.
You know what? Just to latch on to what is your name, Dora? Sorry.
Unique.
Unique. Sorry. Just to latch on to what you're saying about where's the action. Even when there is action, honestly, it's not consistent. I mean, we sit back here and we watch some of the Black Lives movements, and when there's a child that gets killed, and then everyone's out on the street. It's not consistent. It burns a fire for like a day or two. There's huge media hype for a day or two, and then suddenly it kind of fizzles out, and then you read a little report here in the news, you read a little report there, but where is the consistency? So even when people are taking to the streets and protesting and raising their voices, etc., it doesn't last. It's not consistent, and that's a key flaw. When people want to bring about change, any change, you have to be consistent. Something as simple as a diet, something as simple as exercise, something as simple as planning. You have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, it becomes this once-off event. Nobody takes you seriously. Nobody follows. Nobody's interested, and before you know it, everybody forgot what the issues were. And I think from the outside, watching the US, just latching onto what you're saying, that's a big flaw. That's a huge flaw.
Well, I'll tell you from my own experiences as an entrepreneur, and hopefully soon I can get my nonprofit started. I have all the paperwork. I just got to pound the pavement and stuff. But, you try to do something good and you don't get any support. I mean, it's just, so when, you finally do make it and, whatever, then everybody wants to come out the woodworks with their hands out. But where were you when, I was out here pounding the pavement trying to get stuff started? So
yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like everyone is out for self. Even when you think about protesting and things, people are like, I got to go to work. I need to pay my bills. I need to do this. I need to do that. Or the police are putting people in jail or beating up people. I don't want to get beat up. People are thinking about self-preservation. They don't want to be out there. They might be angry and type their little fingers away online, but that's about as far as they're gonna go. They're not gonna go out there and put themselves on the line.
I mean, it's self-preservation, it's jealousy, it's I don't want to pay, so I can't do the shit for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the support?
Exactly. And one thing about it is those government people, they stick together. You know what I'm saying? They stick together. Cops, they stick together. If someone does something wrong, they're going to go to bat for them no matter what. In our community, we don't have that. People don't stick together. People are constantly trying to steal from each other, break each other down. And I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying that it seems to be too many, and that is why, one of the reasons why we're not moving forward. And a lot of people are leaving America. Even we are not there right now. So I'm like, we're talking about these things, but we're not there trying to make change either. I'm also guilty of that.
Well, I think that's part of that for people who looking for a definition. What we are is part of something called brain drain. And a lot of countries suffer it, where the best and the brightest, generally the most educated people who did certain things to give themselves advantages in life don't stay where they are, because as opposed to most people who are looking for a career in a town or in a city, when you pass a certain level of success educationally, the world is where you can go. So we can say, okay, I have a book of skills, and where can I best sell that book of skills? Be it Mexico, Brazil, Canada, Norway, wherever that is. But in the Black community especially, here's where we go back to the conspiracy theory. I don't know if any of you are familiar with a man who's a former FBI agent, Tyrone Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote an interesting book, and he's constantly talking about how it's not a conspiracy. It is real. While he was at the FBI, he was given very clear mandates and shown histories of how they undermine the Black community. They're like, we understand how to put Black leaders against each other. We understand how to keep the community disorganized. We understand how, do you hear that? We've got a serious thunder lightning storm going right now in Sao Paulo.
I love those.
Yeah, it's gonna come down hard and heavy, like end of the world. So if I get disconnected, you guys stay on, I'll be back. But
yeah, okay.
it's going to be like an apocalyptic rainstorm for a very short period of time. And then the sun will come back out and kids will be jumping rope in the street again. It'll be awesome. But one of the things that Tyrone Power said is that he was told, actually, I'm going to read you a quote from one of his supervisors. He said, and I quote, "A supervisor once said to me, 'We're not dealing with morality or legal or laws. We're dealing with what is effective. If what was effective in the past is diminishing, destroying, dividing, putting Black organizations and Black leaders against one another, then why would we stop?' We meaning the FBI. Would you stop something that's very effective? It's pretty simple to me. I know how they see the Black community. I know they believe that no group of people could accept all of that oppression, physical violence, and not at some point have some philosophy and thought about revenge or retaliation, because that's what they would do."
Yeah. Well, you know, I worked for the military. I was not in. So, you know, I experienced and I saw a lot, and I started to understand that's why they do the training. I don't want to call it brainwashing, but I mean, that's basically what it is. They have to get everybody on point and, you know, on the same understanding, the same line. So there is no deviation of, you know, who is who, what you're supposed to do, who is in command. And same thing goes with the police. What's the firefighters? I mean, what's another organization where, you know, they give you this training so everyone's on the same point, you know? So yeah, that's true. And that's one reason why I left, because it's a fucking cult.
So we want to talk about conspiracies, and you made some very legitimate criticisms of you made some legitimate criticisms. The problem is we know that all those criticisms aren't necessarily our fault.
I'm not saying they are our fault, but what I'm saying is how we trying to fix it. What changes are we trying to make? And I'm not talking about a fashion trend change, but a real change. And I feel like people, like you said, people haven't, I guess, been pushed far enough. I don't know how far they need to go, but they haven't been pushed far enough to do it. And so maybe it's because they give us just enough. You know, they don't want to go back to the Black Panther days. So they're like, okay, let's revamp this. Like you said, we did all this research or whatever. So maybe we give them this here, this there. We gave them a little Black president, whatever. So they'll shut, you know, so we can keep them in line so that they don't go crazy out in the streets and start terrorizing everybody. And I think that's what it is. They give people just enough to where they don't want to lose what they have, no matter if it's a little or not. They want to hold on to that.
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, that's Psych 101.
Exactly. And I'm a psychology major, and I'm doing counseling, and I know, and I feel like it's just all BS. Like, it just doesn't make any type of sense. I mean, but it does at the same time. I just feel like I'm making these criticisms, even like when the Black Panther movie came out, everybody loved it. I was not one of those people for several reasons, but I just feel like that gives a prime example of what happens. You get one person who says, all right, I want to make this change. And you get all these people to follow behind him. And then you get the other Black people who are like, no, we don't want to do that. We need to kill this person. And it's just like, you can't come together. Why?
Yeah.
What do we do then?
This is the question. What do we do? Do we bail out on America? Do we leave it like some of us are doing? Do we stay? But if we stay, are we actually going to fight, or are we just going to keep living our lives like we've been doing?
Well, and here's where it goes back to that whole conspiracy theory thing, and part of what the guy Nipsey was dealing with. One of the problems that happened is once he did get past a certain level of economic security, many people said he should have left and never looked back. That his problem was that he genuinely believed that just because in his heart he wanted to remain part of his community, that his community would allow him to be a part.
I said the same thing. I said I would have left. I said the same exact thing. I would have left. There are thousands, millions, trillions of other communities you could have helped. I said the same exact thing.
That's the problem. What do you do?
I mean, I feel like it's a catch-22 because if you leave, you're like a sellout. You left your community behind. You got money and you ran off and moved to Mexico or whatever. And then it's like, so you're going to get those people. Someone's always going to hate you no matter what. You're going to get the people who's like, oh, you shouldn't have left. And then you're going to get the people who are going to be like, oh, you should leave because bad things can happen to you here. And it's not to say bad things could have happened to him somewhere else, but he can't be naive and think I've been gangbanging and I'm just going to live on my same block. And now I'm not a gangbanger anymore and everybody's going to be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me, the key thing is if he wanted to get out, and I'm supporting exactly what you're saying, Unique, get the hell out. Like, leave all the crap. Leave this whole business of, people in the hood are going to be like, oh, you're leaving your people behind. So what? Like, leave all the crap behind. He should have gotten out. If this was really, where he wanted to be. You can't get out but be in the same environment. It's the whole mentality of you can't try and do something new, but you're stuck in the same old reality, if I can put it that way. He should have gotten out. And getting out doesn't really mean leaving America. He could have moved to a different city. For God's sake, he could have gone to Utah. He could have gone to Colorado, somewhere where he doesn't have all the fame, the glitz and the glamour, and people don't really know who he is. And settle down nice and quietly, taken up a homeless shelter, done something there in the community, opened up a drug rehab, opened up a little halfway house for boys on that community. He didn't need to stay where he was, but keep on preaching, I want to get out and I've left this world behind. You can't do that. I mean, that's just like probably, I think the stats of people who succeed is like 1%. He should have left, moved on, and really started a new life.
And that's the problem. It's that whole... One of the things that someone said, I'm trying to think of his name. I think his name was LAR Movement on YouTube. He has a channel where he said, the thing about the Black community is that the people that they want to come back and save it are all the people that got pushed out when they were young. Because I want to be clear, I've never been cool. I'm a square. I've been a square my whole life. My parents raised a book nerd, blah, blah, blah. However, by the time I was 18, got into college, people that have known me, my life is pretty swell because I was never allowed to be cool. By the time I was an adult, I realized, oh, this is why I was forced to learn how to read 3 grades ahead. My father was giving me books to read that were above my level. My grandmother was teaching me oration. Because by the time I became an adult, I was like, oh, but now I've actually been approached most of my adulthood by people who are where I'm from in Niagara Falls, New York, saying, could you come back here and help? And it's like, ooh, I don't know first, would I be accepted? Whether or not that's important, it's something you think about. But did I really do all that work to go back there? Because the people that I know that are still there aren't there because they chose to be. They're there because they couldn't get out.
Well, yeah, and that's, going back to, my podcast, Yusef. My podcast was about a lady in one of our groups, and she was struggling to get out. And so everybody in the group's encouraging her to get the hell up out, but they didn't touch on one thing. The one thing was she tried 2 times before to move out. So my question is, because that's actually a part of my business is, helping people to get out, is why couldn't you get out? So she's all like, well, I had a baby accidentally, and the feds took my tax return money because I couldn't figure out how to defer my student loans. And so I'm like, ma'am, you need to seriously reevaluate your life here because if you can't figure out how to defer student loans and not get pregnant, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to move to a whole new country where, number one, you're probably not going to speak the language. You don't know the culture, and you're not going to have an income coming into where you need to hustle. So if you're not a hustler and you have no critical thinking skills, you need to stay where you are, where you have safety nets. Because I know 2 people that moved to Mexico, or 2 families that moved to Mexico, and they were literally begging on the streets. So
in Brazil, you hear those real like, oh, I've been here for so long and now I'm sleeping on the streets and I'm begging for money. We don't really have that in Brazil. I don't know how, but the Brazilian culture just doesn't promote that for foreigners.
Yeah,
and that's my whole thing. There are no safety nets in other countries, especially if you're not a immigrant, a permanent resident, or a citizen. So you need to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P if you're going to move to another country. Because there ain't nobody going to help you.
Yeah, that's all true.
So that goes back to, like you're saying, Yusef, being, brain drained. Like, I don't want to, toot our horns or anything, but we are technically the cream of the crop because, we figured some shit out that, other people can't figure out. But then that goes back to what Unique is saying, where we trying to help other people get out and they're like, fuck you. So,
exactly.
I don't know what it
is. To do it. Or they want you to do it for them. Like I can give you the map. I can write it out to you and say you need to do this, 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 and this, and this. But if you don't follow it, what can I do? You know what I'm saying?
And they don't want to pay. Like, I can't help you.
And I don't even charge. I don't even charge. People ask me that all the time. People are like, "Oh, you're gonna start charging?" And I don't. And that's just my own personal thing. Just because I only do it if I feel like it. It's not a job to me. So it's like whatever. And I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this for free, and you still
don't want to listen.
Exactly.
They don't.
And it's always it's always our people. It's always our people.
And this is why I started charging, because you're not gonna waste my time. No.
Yeah, even now, I have my YouTube channel, Unique Travel TV, for you people out there. And I get a lot of people every day who are messaging me, how can you get me a job in China? I'm from Zimbabwe. I need to teach a job in China. I don't have a degree. Can you do this? I'd be like, what? I didn't even advertise. No. First of all, it's crazy. It's crazy. No. This is crazy. And it's very annoying. At first, I was nice about it, but after like it happening so often, I found myself getting kind of snappy with those people because, for one, I haven't been to China for like 2 years. So it's just kind of like, gosh, I just hate it.
So, I mean, it's so many little things in there where it's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you, so it's, they don't want to support, they don't want to listen, they don't want to pay, they're making mistakes, and you're trying to tell them, yo, like, that's not what you can be doing in another country. They cuss you out. So I'm just like, bye.
My thing is, I'm not telling anyone that they should leave. If you decide you want to leave, then more power to you. And if you want help with that, then that's great. But I'm not saying everyone should just run off and leave America, because like you said, some people aren't built for that.
No, I'm not saying that either.
They need to stay in America, because America, even though it has strifes, even though America has a lot of problems, they give you a lot of help. So if you are a very dependent person, if you are a very dependent person, America is a good place for you to be. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to help you out. Like I said, give you just enough to get you to shut up.
I agree. I totally agree. America is I will never, say that America is not a great country for those reasons. Those reasons alone, there's tons of support. Because, if I got down and out tomorrow, I could go fly back home and get some food stamps the same day. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But I can get help with my rent, my gas bill, my whatever.
So, that's
one of the things that I want to point out, because I've been listening to you while I was over there grabbing my water. There are two sides to a coin. For example, I have a relative a little younger than I am who talked to me, says, well, it's a conspiracy. I said, well, why are you telling me it's a conspiracy? What's going on? There were some things that he tried to apply for with foundations and things through the federal government, and he kept losing. He kept not getting them. And he comes back to me. He says, this is proof it's a conspiracy that the man is trying to keep me down. And I said, well, let's really talk about that. And we got into, as I do with people I care about, I have a policy. I don't argue with anybody who's not a friend or somebody I actually like, because we have, understandings. I don't argue with strangers. But I love you.
I agree. I never argue with strangers.
One of the things I said to him was,
I feel like, but why?
You're telling me that despite the fact you didn't graduate in the top 10% of your class, despite the fact that you're competing against people who aren't just doing the work, they're doing all that extra work that I try to talk to you about on the weekends and afterwards, you're also competing with people who have more free time because they didn't have children earlier in life. Now, if you want to have kids, that's great. But at the same time, you can't say that's a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy if you're not meeting the bar. But on the other hand, did he grow up in a very different world than I did? Yes, I grew up in a world where I had, shout out if any of you had programs like Math and Science Upward Bound program.
Yeah, Mesa, it was called in California.
It was what?
It was called Mesa, math, engineering, science, and I don't know what the A stands for, but it was called Mesa.
Another one called Inroads, I've heard of.
Inroads, I've heard of that one.
Well, I haven't heard of any of these, so I didn't go. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in I wouldn't say a horrible neighborhood, but it wasn't that good either. So we didn't have any of those things at my school. And to me, it's just like I got a GED. No. I dropped out of high school.
These weren't in the high school programs. They were summer programs and after school programs that if your parents knew, they could get you in. And they also focused on a lot of Black neighborhoods. But when I grew up in the 80s and early 90s, when I was still in high school, those programs were there. And my cousin told me, he's like, what? We didn't have those. By the time you left, government had started to change, and they really started to pull back on all those federally funded programs that were designed to get children who may have been born at middle class or even below middle class more of an education. Because my parents, you know, they used every possible program they could find that was free, and they had me busy morning to night all year. But he said, you know, we didn't get any of those.
Yeah, and unique. You're actually unique because most people I meet, they didn't have a GED or anything like that, But I like I said before, speaking on the lady from my podcast in the group, you have to be a hustler. You have to have critical thinking skills, and that's what you are automatically. You can't have kids, Oh, I accidentally had kids. I mean, come on now. I figure out how to defer your student loans, I mean.
12-year-olds accidentally have kids. 13-year-olds accidentally have kids. When you're grown, when you're like 18, you're no longer a child. And then there's no accidents. There's so much information on how to prevent this. There's so much free information, contraceptives. There's so much free. I start hearing about accidents. 18.
Well,
I'm not into.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I got this meeting. I'll be right back.
Okay. Can we go back to Unique? You said you dropped out of high school?
Yes, I dropped out of high school. I got a GED. I didn't go back to school till 2 years after my graduation date, and now I'm in grad school. So I'm like, for me, excuses are not a thing. I do not accept that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we all have our own struggles. You might have other type of struggles that might not have been financially, but it could have been something else. You're still a Black man. We all have struggles. And I don't feel like people should use those struggles as to why they're not getting to where
wait, Unique, you started to break up on me.
They want to be. To me, there's just no excuse.
My little thing is flashing on the connection here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
I think we lost her.
Uh-oh. It's a conspiracy.
Right? Trying to kick us out of here.
It's just me and you, but you know what? There, your picture has come back now, so it's just us. But you know what? Go on when you talked about not letting excuses. And if it's not something, if I'm crossing a line, say it clearly. Can you tell us what made you drop out?
It was a lot of, I wouldn't say it was a lot of things. It was like my mom, she ended up leaving and moving to Africa the week after my 17th birthday and left me in the care. Yeah, without me. She took my little brother. Without me, my other brother or my sister, she left and moved to Africa and left me with one of my high school friends. Parents to stay with and saying, oh, you're a senior, you could stay here until you graduate or whatever. So, but maybe a month after being at my friend's house, my mom and her mom got into an argument over the phone, and she ended up moving me basically because I'm 17. She's like, oh, you're about to pack your stuff. Someone's coming to get you. You're going to go here. Now she's delegating my life all the way from Africa, of course. So I ended up moving from out of my school district to another district that was on block schedule, which means you only have 4 classes. I was in a district where I had 7. So when I get there, they're like, oh, we're only giving you 4. You need this many classes to graduate. We don't do that here. You're going to have to be held back and do another semester or another year or whatever at this new school. And I was like, no, ma'am. And I just stopped going. I just didn't go. I just was like, I'm not doing it. And I withdrew myself, and that was that.
Okay. That's wild.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like everybody has their own stripes. Everybody has their struggles, better than mine and worse than mine. But to me, we all can make it. We all can make it out. And out is different for different people. I don't mean out of America. I mean just out of whatever struggles you're having. You could make it out if you really want to.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. That's something that I didn't expect. And for you, and here's the thing, for you to have the perseverance at that age to understand what was necessary and then not get lazy and say, I'm going to finish this school thing and then go to college and then go on to, you said you're in a master's program now?
Yeah, I'm almost finished. I just have to do my internship, which starts in May. And I'll be returning to America just for this. So
wait, say that again?
I'm like, yeah, I'm almost finished, and I'll be returning to America to do my internship, and I'll be done.
Wow. That's beautiful. And then are you going to go PhD or not?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. My mom says I'm a habitual school person. Every time I get out, I end up getting back in. So maybe.
Well, you know what? I'm proud of you, no matter what you do from there. I was at a point in my life when I finished my second degree, my bachelor's degree, I had to really step back and say, do I really want to go back for a master's or a PhD? And I was at that tipping point because of the career path I chose. It would actually cost me money because I was already in it. But you're in education?
Yes. Well, I got a degree in psychology, my bachelor's, and now I'm doing education, school counseling. So I'm still close to my psychology field, but it falls under the education.
Wow, I've had a very interesting discussion with several friends about how education in general is such a difficult field to populate with the best people because there's no, let's be clear, there's no money there. I'm a greedy capitalist pig. I've worked in the financial business for many years. I'm a freelancer. I like money. And I know that my friends who work in education never get the compensation they deserve for their education and their tenacity.
Well, this is why I teach abroad. The only reason I decided to go into education is because of the money that I can make abroad, working at international schools, having a master's degree. People are pulling $100,000 easy.
Yeah.
And they're working 9 to 5, So this was, I feel like you need to have a plan. So this is my plan. I went to China. I'm like, oh, I could do this. This is easy. I never planned to be a teacher. I'm a psychology major. I wanted to be a psychologist. And, I found that I can make a lot of money right now doing this, and that's what I decided to do. So I'm like, oh, I can make even more money if I get a master's, and that's why I'm getting it. I'm like, so it's about the money for me too. We just, everyone has different ways of going about it.
And you know what? If you ever came out to Brazil or wanted to, I could pass you out to so many different. It wouldn't even be an issue. It wouldn't even be an issue. Hire her. They'd be like, we want her because again. That level of education, you can work for some of the private institutions out here. Most of my clients, their children all go to some of the elite universities. So, elite universities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can come out here.
Yeah, that goes back to being a hustler. If you ain't one, stay your ass home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're not a hustler, at least know how to follow instructions. That's the thing.
That's the first thing of being a hustler.
Everyone doesn't have the same gift.
So I mean,
oh well, yeah.
you gotta, you know, follow some kind of guidelines, some kind of instructions. That's like one of the first things. Like, you know, as a hustler, you ain't got time to be making mistakes. So, you know.
Yeah, what you talked about earlier when people come to you, when I was in my early 30s, I started to get a lot of requests from young men, just not necessarily how do I get a job, but life advice. And as I became more comfortable with it, I realized something. If in 1 week I get 10 random emails from guys saying, can you help me? At first, I'm just giving them the game for free. Here's this resource, do this, this is free. Oh, here's an online place you can get this certification. Boom, 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 boom. And then they don't do it or do part of it and then later say, oh, it didn't work. I'm like, well, hold on. I'm checking the email list here. Didn't I say if you did this and this and this would happen? Well, yeah, but I didn't do that second thing. I figured it didn't matter. Really?
Can't follow directions, can't stay in line, can't do nothing.
If you cannot follow directions, then it's just not going to work out. It's just not, why ask me for help if you're not going to listen to it and do your own thing? It's stupid.
So you clear a lot of that out when people start, and you know, honestly, my first client insisted that he pay me. And my theory is once I get paid for anything, like my writing business that I also do, I do a lot of ghostwriting. Shout out to China. With all those students who can't speak any English, with rich parents who pay me a lot of money to write articles for their children to get in. Uh-oh.
No.
Are you driving and talking to us at the same time?
No, I'm in the car. I'm with one of my daughters, and I'm waiting for my mom and my other daughters to come.
Well, tell us who you are. Tell them why you're awesome, because they might not have seen the chat we had.
Oh, I didn't know you were even having this chat. I just saw you said jump in. So my name is Nicole Montero. Why I'm
Stop
awesome?
No. Stop being modest. Let's not do that. Don't play that game. Tell them who you are.
Well, my name is Dr. Nicole Montero, and I'm a psychologist.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know what you guys are chatting about, but Mommy, I'm sure it'll be interesting. Hi, Mom.
And where do you live?
Currently, I live in Philadelphia, but I'm a global serial expat and world traveler. Mommy, I'm say hi.
Okay. Hola.
Okay. Well, I don't know whether or not you had a chance to watch it before, but we have been having hold on one second. I wonder where Marilyn went. You logged out, Marilyn. I mean, you logged in just as Marilyn Theoza was gone, and she said she's logging out and she's coming back in. All right, hold on. I'll say we'll save a spot for you.
I mean, because you know, each one of you can answer the question. Did you get this far by not taking advice from other people and following directions? I mean, that's like the first step. I mean, and you have to trust people too, because you know, when I first moved here, I didn't know anyone. So, you know, when somebody told me to do something, I did it. I didn't question it because I knew nothing else.
Well, here's the thing, and I wanna go back, Nicole, just to give you a quick little insight as to where we are in the conversation. We moved into some of the conspiracy theories, but we're also talking about how people will call it a conspiracy theory when they can't succeed, even though they didn't take the directions given. And I'm going to say, you are a professional counselor. Is that correct?
I'm a licensed psychologist.
Okay. And we all, you know, the three of us, while neither Elise nor Unique may be on your level, we are all people who are approached for help in life because of our expertise. And one of the things we all find in common is that until we put people in a position to say, listen, you have to pay me for my time, they just wouldn't listen. Not all of them do. At least, are you frying chicken in there while you're talking? Can you mute while you're banging those pots?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
But what I was saying is that people would come to us for advice and then not take it and not wonder why they didn't get what they wanted. Guys tend to come to me for a bit of life advice on how to succeed past certain milestones and to get to certain places. And I'm happy to help them, but they then claim that the world is against them and they can't make any money and women don't like it, even though they want women to concepts outlined. Do you find that with what people come to you for, even though they come to you with your shining degree on the wall, do they come to you and not listen?
I think that's human nature, though. I don't really take it personally. It doesn't bother me because I know people have to be open to applying the advice in their own time. In the therapy world, we call it sometimes you're planting seeds, and you might be the first or the second or the third to plant a seed, and they might not let it blossom and water it until the fifth or sixth person. So sometimes, especially in therapy, you kind of have to let go of the expectation that people are going to just immediately take your advice, and you just, you give it, you work with them, and then it's up to them. It doesn't bother me because, I know everybody has to do it in their own time. Okay, you can say hi. Hi. Okay. No, put your leg there. So,
no, I wouldn't say it bothers me. It's just that, that's why I started charging, because you're not going to keep wasting my time. And, I'm over here. So, I mean, it don't bother me nothing. I'm over here where you want to be, so at the end of the day, I mean, shoot, go ahead.
I wanted to, you're someone who can give nuanced views, Nicole, and you just got in. I wanted to, when we talked about taboos and conspiracy theories, it's hard to be Black anywhere in the world, see all the things that happen to you, and not call it a conspiracy. But where do we draw the line? When we talk about things all the way back.
Call it a conspiracy? I'm not familiar. You mean people are not succeeding in life, and I don't know. I know the formula for success for me is perseverance, dedication, hard work, commitment, and mentorship. So I don't surround myself with people who believe in conspiracies. We just do what has to be done. I mean, you can say, oh, well, out of licensed psychologists in the U.S., 1% of them are Black. But you know what? I found numerous mentors of those small 1% to tell me to get my PhD. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me.
Basically, yes, that's what we're saying, that people are calling everything a conspiracy when they're not successful.
And when they don't succeed, they go back and it becomes that self-defeating cycle. So the question becomes is like, how do we separate the parts? Because nothing is 0 or 100, in my opinion. There may be a percentage of conspiracy into why people who come from a certain demographic don't win. But at the same time, when do we say, okay, we acknowledge that, how much farther can we go? Roxana, you're back with us?
That is you.
You're muted.
She might be taking care of business.
Can you hear us, Roxanne?
I can hear you.
There you go.
I can hear you. And my mic is muted because I'm outside, so there's wind and a lot of noise.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got a new headset?
Yes, I have a headset on.
Gotcha. See, I don't want to do these when I'm outside just because of the unpredictability of the Sao Paulo weather. You can get hit with a rainstorm, and at the same time, if the wind picks up or if someone's got kids where I am, it's just easier for me to do it from the comfort of my sofa. But Roxana, can you I don't know what part you came in on.
I barely heard the sister with the head wrap speaking. I barely heard her. So, and I heard Elise mention you have to pay her for her time. She's all the way over in Mexico. So that's all that I really caught.
Question. I know that you get a lot of questions, but you have your Patreon. Do people come to you for advice on how to repatriate or how to get to where you are traveling as an expat and things like that? Do you end up having to counsel people?
Yes, people do from time to time. A lot of the women, it's usually women, some men, but what I'm finding is that these women are married to individuals who are illegally in the United States. So they're trying to figure out whether or not to move to Mexico, where these men are from, and what they will do to earn a living while they're living here. So that has kind of been the trend for me And then there are just some people who are Black American who want to leave, or Black American or Black Caribbean who want to leave the United States and come to Mexico. So those have been the demographics of people asking me my opinion and so on, and my advice.
And do you find that transition is too difficult for most of them, or do they actually listen? Because how long have you been there?
Almost 2 years, casi 2 años. Well, almost 2 years. And I find that I would say a lot of them don't take heed to my advice. For an example, a Black American woman is married to a Mexican man, and they have a construction business where they live. I think they live in Jersey. And she said that, you know, they can transfer the business here. And I said, construction is one of the lowest things that you can do. It's one of the lowest jobs on the economic ladder here. It doesn't pay well. Construction workers are a dime a dozen, and that she needed to figure out something else to do to earn her living, whether it be working online, you know, teaching in a school, or, you know, something else. And she was pretty adamant that they were going to come here in this particular state. They're from my state, and it was a very small town. And she was adamant that she was going to come here and work the construction business and live in this small town. So I said, well, I don't think that's going to be very fruitful for you or very secure. But she was, you know, she had made up her mind. A lot of times people make up their mind when they approach me, and I guess they want me to co-sign, and I don't co-sign if I don't agree with what they're saying. I just tell them this has been my experience, but if I don't agree with how they want to go about moving to Mexico, I let them know. I try to be as honest as possible.
That's basically what it is. They want you to co-sign. I'm like, ma'am, but that's not the way you're going to be able to do it. So, I mean, that's basically what they want, the co-sign.
What do you mean? What do you mean when
we live here, been living here for years and everything else, we know this, and they want you to co-sign.
But I'm trying to understand.
A woman, two sisters, two Black American women approached me, and one wanted to move within a month. I'm like, a month? Like, she was like, I need leave. I need several people, actually, two Black American women and one
honestly,
Cuban American woman.
It can be done, because I've done it, but
in a month.
No.
They didn't seem very prepared. And I don't want to have the burden of responsibility if things don't go as they expect. Because I think people expected me to basically hold their hand from the airport all the way up until getting them a job. And that level of responsibility is something that I cannot take on, particularly if you're not prepared, you know. And to tell me you want to move in 3 weeks and you've done zero research, and I could tell that they've done zero research based on the type of questions that they've asked me. I could tell that they expect me to be Wikipedia and, you know, have all the answers for them, and they haven't done their due diligence. And I don't entertain those sort of people, because you're not serious and you're wasting my time and your own time. So that's been the trend with me as well. People asking me advice coming to Mexico.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to do their research. But I also want you to do everything for them.
I agree, and I also disagree, because I moved less than a week after my mother's funeral, and I knew nothing about Mexico. But again, that goes back to me being a critical thinker and me being a hustler. I can wiggle my way out of damn near any situation, you know. And I also don't have a family, so it's just me.
Well, let's be clear. You have a family.
These women had children.
So
These women had children.
I would never recommend that to someone that had children. No.
Yeah, because when it's just you, we can take chances like that. We can say, hey, this might not work. Well, everyone knows I'm a big fan of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and I had a situation pop up where there was a big opportunity, and I immediately called all my buddies who are in the same boat, and I said, hey, there's this thing popping up. I'm going to go into it. Do you want to get in as well? And one of my friends got back to me, says, you know what, I really think this is a great idea. However, I just can't. I said, oh, is it a matter of just, you don't have the liquidity right now? He said, it's not that. He said, you forget. I have a wife and a child. So if it goes wrong for you, I might be down some cash and I just have to eat chicken and tuna fish every day for a month until I make that money back. But if it goes wrong for him, he said, there's no situation where I can go to my wife and child and say, we've got to eat chicken and tuna fish because I put money into something that didn't work. Now, it did turn out okay for me, but at the same time, he said, you know, when you have that level of responsibility, everything he does has to be extraordinarily calculated.
And that goes back to the lady I was talking about. The baby was a couple months old. I'm like, you're really trying to drag a baby into this and you have no kind of planning? Who does that? So, yeah, if it was a single person, I'd be like, sure, you can do it in 3 weeks, sure. Because I've done it many a times in less than 3 weeks. I've moved all over the world in less than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But for a family, hell no. And second of all, that's not my first rodeo with moving somewhere, so I know what to do. So
let's see. Hold on 1 second. Somebody else. And it's interesting because now that we're on, everybody's trying to scramble to their computer to say, you know, I want to get on, and will you be on in 25 minutes, 30 minutes? I say, hey, here's the link. If you can get in, great. By the way, you know, she's juggling children, so she'll be back when she can.
Okay, well, yeah, let's hear if she did it with children, because you know, most of us are single and you know, did it within a week or 2-3 weeks.
Well, Nicole is in the United States. She's they travel a lot, but I think she's in the U.S. and I don't know whether or not she had her children when she earned her PhD. I'm not quite sure. I did a show with her a little while back. I don't know if any of you got to see it, but we had a really, really good discussion together. You know, she's a very knowledgeable woman. She's a very, hold on 1 second.
The only time I would really recommend anybody moving within 2-3 weeks or a week is if they have a guaranteed, damn sure good job offer. You know what I'm saying? And you know that when you get there, everything is going to be, you know, for sure and safe.
All right, now we got somebody.
And that also requires a lot of research, which people don't do.
Research is, you know, I find a lot of people think that if they decide to go someplace new, it will erase where they were before. And I'm thinking, if you weren't making it before, you're not going to make it now.
You're not.
So.
And, you know, to me, that goes back to your conspiracy thing. People are saying, oh, in America, they're failing, so I must need to get out. But because it's this conspiracy of the man trying to keep me down, but is it really? Or is it you? Are you the problem? And yes, of course, America's trying to keep the black people down. Anyone who's not white, anyone who's poor, they're trying to keep down. But we know this. Everyone knows this from.
She cut out on us.
When you got it, who lived in the same neighborhood, who was in the same single family home or whatever, is now off doing things, but you are not. Who do you blame but yourself?
And that goes back to being a hustler.
They're gonna blame the man. They're gonna blame the man and the government and how everything is set up to keep them down and this and third. And yes, that is true, but okay, we need to still make a way.
Yeah, they don't, you know, my whole thing is that they don't even try. If you tried and, you know, the shit got fucked up, that's one thing, but people don't even try. So if you don't try, how would you know?
And that's another one. You know, everybody says we know there's a conspiracy out there. My theory is, okay, yes, there's a conspiracy. What are you going to do? Are you just going to roll over for it? Are you just going to lay out and die? Or are you going to say, okay, well, there's a conspiracy. There's another demon I have to fight.
Because, you know,
and it's like
if you look at us,
fight together.
I mean, how can you say that if you're looking at people like us? You know, are we part of the conspiracy theory then?
Well, you also find that people who make it past the conspiracy they're a plant. They must have been working for the government.
Oh no!
I've gotten that so many times. You got lucky. I've gotten that so many times.
You got lucky or something like that, but it's nothing about luck. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing about luck, and it's like natural selection. It's really survival of the fittest in all things. And if you're not prepped to survive, then you're gonna drown.
Well,
with the rest of the sheep.
Do any of you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V? One of the most amazing guys. He's all over social media, but one of the things that he talks about is keep that luck shit in your back pocket, because he talks about from childhood having to hustle to help his parents. Now, to be clear, his parents had a business that he could come up through, but he talked about one of the first hustles he discovered as a child before he became a multi-millionaire. He would go to the dollar store and buy the little figurines of basketball players. And this is how dirty the game was. He said he knew that he could buy one, go to the shopping mall, return it to the lady behind the cash register and say his mom bought him that one, but he already had it, but could he just have the $5? He would take that $5, go buy another one, wait until the shift changed at the store, and go to another lady and run the same hustle as long as he could.
And see, that goes back to, what did you just say? Being a hustler, because ain't nobody helped me. Like I'll say to the day I die, when I moved here to Mexico, I knew nothing. I knew no one. So it was all me. All me.
And that's the thing, you got to figure out it very early in life, Let's see. I'm going to change the name of this. Instead of Taboo Talk, I'm going to call this Taboo Hustlers. Hustlers Taboo.
Because, that same word keeps coming up. Hustle. And then it goes back to support, too. Like I said earlier, nobody wants to support you or do anything. Hey, what can you do? The only person you can depend on is your damn self.
Yusef, did you share this on our pages on social media? Did you share this to our Facebook pages?
Yeah, I thought I
didn't see it. Oh, I didn't see it, but maybe I missed it. I just didn't see it just now. No, I wanted to put it somewhere else.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to send it to you. Then we can, let's see.
Tag me on Facebook so that I can put it on my Chronicle page and my Instagram. I'm going to go live again later on when I go stuff my face.
Oh, okay.
I'm muted. I'm going to mute myself now.
Oh, so when you go live, are you going to invite us to come and invade your page, or are you just going to be like, nope, screw you people?
Oh, sure. If you guys want to join in, that's fine. I know how to do all that Hangouts, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I can teach you. You know that, right?
Yes, I know.
It takes like all of a few minutes to actually just click the right button.
Okay.
And hold on, let me tag you. Check your Facebook. And thanks for sharing it. Uh-oh. Steven.
I can't hear. I can't hear. I can't hear.
I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Oh, hold on.
1 minute, okay? I'm gonna use my phone, okay? 1 minute. Yeah, I can't hear anybody, y'all. So let me just call on my phone. Let me use Google Hangouts on my phone, and I'm gonna hop in that way. 1 second, guys. Let me hang up. I'm gonna hop in.
Okay, I just sent a message that says, "Look on the computer desktop and turn on your speaker."
All right, Wateef, I can hear you now.
There we go. Where are you?
I'm in Salvador, Brazil.
Okay, so tell us who you are.
My name is Steven Story. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm 30 years old. I'm an entrepreneur. I travel pretty regularly. I lived in Canada last year. I'm living in Brazil now. Let me think. What else? I like dancing forró. I like capoeira. I love spearfishing. So that's normally what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis when I'm not working.
It seems like it's a little choppy on your phone. Look at the computer on your desktop and see if you can just turn on the speaker, because I don't know. It should be at the bottom right hand if you're using a Windows, or at the top right side if you're on a Mac.
Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what's going on, but
because if you can play music for your computer, you should be able to hear us if you just go back to the computer, because your phone seems a little choppy.
You might have to activate the microphone on your computer.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna hop back in. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because usually that's what the problem is.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, he's somebody I definitely wanted to get in with us, because he's a guy who came to Brazil. He's been doing a few different things, and he's definitely a hustler.
I mean, you know, because most of us outside of, you know, teaching is a huge thing, but a lot of us are entrepreneurs. And, you know, that's the true definition of a hustler.
Let's see. Hold on. Sorry about that. I hate when... There we go. All right. I had to get a couple buttons pressed. So hopefully he'll be right back. Are there any conspiracies that you still believe in? Because as much as we just sat down here and dissected, we know what conspiracies are and aren't. Black or otherwise, are there any like, this actually is one that I believe in?
I don't want to say too much because they'll cut me off. I've experienced that before.
Now, see, this is something you think it's not a conspiracy against you. I always tell you, don't say wild shit on Facebook. Leave a link to your page or a video or something and say it there. But you always want to go all fucking cowboy on Facebook and get banned.
But you know, my background won't let me believe a lot of things. So yes, I 1,000% agree. There are conspiracy theories. There's like trillions, or not conspiracy theories. Excuse me. That's real life shit. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any off of my head right now, but
I actually give us some real, and now you're tripping over your tongue. Hey, Steven, you back?
I'm back.
All right. Well, what we were talking about for a while earlier, and I do these just big round table talks with my friends every 2 or 3 weeks, and we kind of have a semi-formal discussion on just what's kind of going on for the people who are back in right now. This is Steven. We've got Roxana and Elise, who are both in Mexico. Unique, who just came from China, who's holidaying in Mexico. There's me in Brazil, and then there's you in Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about today is, what makes it taboo. But we ended up getting really deep into the well of how many Black and brown people understand that there is a conspiracy, but also let that conspiracy define their lack of success, saying, well, it's the man conspiring to keep me down, which may be true, but could it also be that if you're not living up to your full potential?
I feel that. Yeah. So you got self-fulfilling prophecies, right? And so when you have people that believe things over and over again, belief in the subconscious realm is real, right? So we believe something is real. So for us, unfortunately, the negative side of conspiracies is for us is that we agree with some things that are detrimental to our race, and it like, for instance, like, racism does these things to us and we can't do anything about it. And so we render ourselves powerless when we shouldn't, when it comes to certain conspiracies. But I do believe there are some conspiracies. I know that we as Black and brown people, we do know that, yeah, there's some funny stuff going on in the world, but I think it's some things that we need to unlearn regarding conspiracies.
Well, which ones do you think are actually working to hold people back?
Finance. I think as far as how our governments are, even the Brazilian government, the American government, and even the governments in Africa, I think they conspire against the people who don't have education.
That's what I say, education.
They conspire against those who don't have education. If you don't plan well enough to educate your children well, they're going to take advantage of that. And unfortunately, we have dropped the ball on educating our own children for generations now, and so it makes us an easy target for manipulation and for them to conspire against us.
Yeah. But see, now we're getting into a very difficult issue because we understand education is the most important thing. Is it a conspiracy, or is it just a matter of fact that the less education you get, the less like you are able to just get in part of it anyway, to be part of anything?
No, I didn't
catch the last part. I didn't catch the last part.
I said, is it a conspiracy, or is it possible that it's simply a fact? The less education you have, the less likely you are to succeed at anything.
I would say no, but I mean, if you want to go off statistics, which I freaking hate because I used to do statistics, then you can work those any way you want to. But if you go off of stats, I mean, yeah. And especially if you're not a hustler.
I think it depends on your kind of education. Hustling is a type of education. Street smarts is a type of education. In the school is a type of education. These are all different institutions of education for people. So it just depends. A hustler can be as successful as someone with a PhD. You just got to use your brain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of smart, stupid people.
Well, I think it's a little more nuanced than that, right? So, like, you don't, I'm saying we, but if you don't have the skill of learning, like if you haven't learned to learn and relearn and unlearn, you're gonna have a hard time in an economy over the course of your lifetime. And unfortunately, for most people in the United States that look like us, they have not learned the skill of learning, whether that's being a hustler or being a PhD or anything in between that, and because of that, we're putting ourselves at a disadvantage, and it allows us to be taken advantage of.
Well, I tell people all the time, look, Google comes free on your phone, bruh. Google it. I mean, you have a computer in your hand 24/7, 365. Ask it whatever question you want, and it'll spit out the answer. But it's up to you to figure out if it's true or not. You know what I'm saying? That goes back to the critical thinking skills. But I mean, there's no reason. And we have YouTube, we have LinkedIn Learning. There's really no reason. And all of that is free. The library.
Yeah, no, but you're right. But I think the thing is that if you don't place a value on learning, it doesn't mean anything.
They can learn that booty shaking video just fine though.
Booty shaking is cultural, so I'm gonna let that live.
I'll tell you something.
Like everyone can learn.
I want to say something. I was watching YouTube, and I came across a woman, I'm forgetting her name, but her whole channel is talking about life after jail. She was doing a makeup tutorial on how they apply makeup in jail. And I thought, she is brilliant. She's been on YouTube about a month, and she's maybe at either 48,000 or 50,000 subscribers, because people want to know what it's like to be in jail. And she talks about that. She talks about how you make cookies and pies.
Is she a black woman?
And showering. She's a black woman, and she is talking about jailhouse makeup. I'll send you her link. I can't remember her name.
People look at and learn what they want.
I think she's brilliant. That is an example of being innovative. That is an example of being resourceful and street smart. And she's highly intelligent. She took a terrible situation. I mean, she's from jail, and she's able to, now she's earning money within like a month or two. She has like 50,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Well, wait a minute. Right back up.
I think she's brilliant. What is it?
Hold on 1 second. We just had a new face on the team. Coco.
She just left. She's come back.
No, is she? Yeah.
She's back.
Coco, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's a little bit of echo. Where's your microphone?
On my computer.
Here we go. Now I can hear you. Who are you? How'd you get in here? Who let you in the door?
Unique sent me the link. She
Okay.
told me you all were talking about traveling and some conspiracies in the community.
Well, what community is that? What community are you part of?
I'm a part of the African American travelers, teachers, Southern community, a lot of things.
All right. I guess I'll let you stay in the house. Because listen, everybody knows that if anybody they know is somebody worth bringing into the group chat, go ahead and share the link. But where are you now?
I am in Mexico now.
What part?
In Oaxaca City.
Okay. Okay. Elise, do you know her? I know all the black women in Mexico seem to know you.
No. No, I actually found out about another lady the other day. I don't know her.
I'm only visiting. I'm only passing through.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, we were just talking about how, well, Stephen was in the middle of really, really giving us some insight about being careful about confusing street smarts with academic smarts in the conspiracy, because while there is a conspiracy to keep certain people away from education, and Stephen, stop me if I'm wrong, there is a conspiracy to keep certain people away from education. It's not a conspiracy to keep uneducated people out of success, because it's very hard to have success without it. Because I don't know you, Coco, right? You're the only person here who's new to me. I would be willing to bet you have some college education.
Yes.
And that's what we keep coming back to. The reason things seem to go well for us is because we can fight certain conspiracies off, because after a certain point of understanding, the conspiracies are less effective, I'll say. I mean, Stephen, jump back in here and help me. I don't want to misquote your words.
Coco, I can't hear anything you're saying, by the way. I don't know what's going on, but I don't hear her at all. I did hear her in the beginning, but I don't hear anything now.
Well, I think Coco was getting farther away and closer to her microphone, because I had a hard time in the beginning as well.
I hear her. I see her mouth.
That good old Oaxaca internet.
Yes. It's.
But yeah. So, but really, what I was saying was this: is that with certain conspiracies that we buy into on a large in a group setting, like a group level, where we buy into these conspiracies, we set a paradigm in place, and a mental habit in place of what we can and can't do as a race, right? And especially in the United States. And so when that happens, we have to actively unlearn our group thinking. And that's the hard part, right? It's very difficult. And so I think it's some conspiracies that we have don't need to be repeated to the next generation, not because we're trying to protect them or not protect them, but more so because they're going to buy into that early and they'll begin to limit them.
I agree. There was a death of a lady at some white people's house in Georgia, and it's in a sundown town. Now, I come from California, and even I know what a sundown town is because I'm not Southern. But there were so many people on my timeline that didn't know what that was, and I was just confused. So where does it end and where does it start? You know, on where we need to teach certain things.
At least tell them what it means.
Oh, sundown town. So sundown town is where, you know, as a Black person, you might not want to take yourself because after a certain time, they don't want to see you. They don't want you to be out there. Matter of fact, you might not want to drive through it, period. Go there, stop there, anything. So that's a sundown town. And so I was dumbfounded on why, you know, so many Black people on my timeline did not know. And a lot of these people were Southern. So, you know, where does it start and where does it end on what we need to teach the next generation? Because my parents taught me that.
I mean, the lady who was killed, she was killed in Forsyth, and, you know, she was the only Black person at the party, and she was all beat up, and they said she fell off of the balcony or some crap. I mean, it's all a bunch of crap. And I've been to that county. I went to high school in Georgia, and we went to basketball games at that county, and it surprised me when I read about it, and it's, you know, it's very sad. And you could see the interview with Oprah when she was there. She knew to leave before sundown. She says it. She said, we made sure to be out of town before the sun went down because these people said, we don't want any Black people here. We're an all white community. We don't want them living here. And now here we go. X amount of years later, this Black lady has been thrown off of a patio that they're trying to cover up. Not a surprise.
Yeah, that was 30 years ago. I live in Atlanta. I do live in the United States. Standpoint than it was 30 years ago. So it was again, but in that regard, no, you don't need to trust white people in situations like that, and they do. I think that part of the what I'm saying is,
hold on, is anyone else having trouble with Stephen?
I cannot hear.
Yeah, he's cutting out a lot.
Yeah, Stephen, your voice, you just went choppy. Can you try that again? Start from the beginning for us.
There might be too many people on the call now because I can't hear nothing.
I don't think the internet works that way on this, but Stephen is in.
I mean, I can hear everybody, and I don't. But I need to talk before I start talking. Am I really? Coco?
Yes.
YT, good?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, no,
I'm okay.
I can't really hear you, but it's fine.
Uh-oh, he's going to go off and come back on.
Yeah.
Can I, while he's coming back, I want to say something about earlier when you guys were talking about hustling. Nick, mute your mic.
Is this any better?
Can you hear me? Oh,
I can hear you, Coco.
Y'all can hear me? Everybody can hear me?
A little bit.
I can't hear anybody now.
You cannot hear us?
I can't hear anybody now. Golly. Some bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to just talk. I'm going to talk for a second. So the point was, which conspiracies do we believe in and which conspiracies do we not believe in? Right? So, in my opinion, right, so as far as our personal safety, like in the situation with the lady in Forsyth, right, we need to believe those situations. You need to take care of yourself when you're in situations where you might be the only black person in a place that's a sundown town. It was a former sundown town. Now, as it relates to education and what we can achieve in this life, I don't think we need to be doubling down on some of the thought processes and conspiracies that we talk about openly around our children and around young people, because I think that it can be a self-defeating thought process at times. And y'all understood me, somebody nodded their head because I don't know, I can't hear y'all. Okay.
I agree, but can you, well, he can't hear us. I'm going to say, give us some examples.
I'm about to hang up and try to get back in and see if I can hear y'all because I can't hear anything.
Can he give us some examples of these conspiracy theories that we need to let go?
Well, here's the thing. Let me back up for a second. Coco, you were talking. Come back to what you were saying.
I heard you guys mentioning about book smart versus street hustling and how I feel like it should be a balance, but some people don't. I feel like some people don't always get that opportunity to learn that at a young age. And I feel like that's something that you need to kind of get at a young age so that as an adult, it's kind of easier or you can work it better. And for me, I feel like, I don't like to say this, but I feel like I was very sheltered, even in my teenage years, even once I went to university, and it could be a mental thing that of my past, but I feel like I never learned that street smart thing. My mom didn't let me go outside, even in the daytime, to hang out, even in the driveway with my friends across the street and things like that. So I never got that opportunity to experience or experiment with hustling and things like that. So I feel like sometimes, oh, go ahead. It's a little difficult to.
Let me testify for a minute.
Uh-huh.
You and I have a lot
Go ahead.
when you think, because I always tell people I'm a square. I was raised to be a square. I was raised to only have my nose in a book. I wasn't allowed to do all the things you did. I can tell you from where I am, having a foundation of clear, structured life first. I don't know any of my cousins or friends. I have hundreds of cousins, literally. I don't have any brothers and sisters, but I have cousins that grew up the same age as me and everything else. And I can tell you, none of those who founded their life on street smarts made it, so to speak. What I can also say to you is this: you can learn to not have to live in a world where you need street smarts. And that's the interesting thing. Once you're past a certain point in education, the street is no longer something you have to navigate. However, if you are in the street, you will get to a point where street smarts no longer apply. Because street politics, street manifestations, they don't work on an internet. They don't work outside of your own city.
So when I'm saying as far as the hustling, not as far as the street smart, I feel like it teaches you aspects of maybe advertising yourself, or like I think earlier someone was saying of getting out of situations easily. I feel like oh yes, you need that structure as well, but I feel like sometimes when both are misinterpreted, it's kind of hard to express those things, or you feel like. And another thing, I was talking to my little sister about this, and she talked about reparenting yourself. And I was wondering if anyone else have heard about this or knows anything about reparenting yourself.
Can you? Nope. Can you?
Well, I could talk a little bit about my background because mine differs a lot from Yusef's.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
I mean, I have both of my parents.
Say something now as a parent. As a parent, I want to speak up as a parent.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to speak up. So I'm from the Bronx, and I've been going to the store since I was about 5 years old by myself. I would go to the store and navigate, walking around. I would be lost in the park. I was able to walk around all around my neighborhood, surrounding neighborhoods by myself, take public transportation, take the subway, take the bus to school all by myself at a very young age. And that is the same way that I'm raising my daughter. I think it's very important for my daughter to have her street wits about her. I'm not a helicopter parent. I believe in raising a very independent child, a very self-reliant child. My daughter is able to go to the store here by herself. She's able to walk around the neighborhood, and she knows how to handle herself. Literally, the other day, a dog was being very aggressive towards her. My daughter knew enough to stand her ground, and she was ready to throw a rock at the dog. She knew not to run away and cower. And these are survival tools that she needs for her lifetime. My daughter and I know how to navigate the subway in DC. I'm not in DC as well as here in Mexico City. These are important tools for her survival, as well as we push academics as well, obviously, because my daughter she's going to school. So I had a balance of both. I had street education as well as academic education. And that is the same way that I'm raising my daughter.
Yes, that's what I
think that's survival. That's very important to have. It's a very important thing to have. She needs to be able to keep her wits about her wherever she goes.
Yes,
wherever she goes.
That's what I mean. I'm talking about development for independence, not as far as being able to speak in the streets and survive in the streets. I mean it more for independence and being able to think quickly or get yourself out of any situation, or just even being able to communicate with others and like that.
No, I was never taught the street smart stuff. I to be honest with you, when I was younger, I would have never done anything like this. I was terrified of doing anything like this. Something clicked like in my early 20s, and I stopped being fearful of everything. And I was like, well, you only live once, so you might as well go ahead and do it. I barely graduated high school. I barely graduated college. Like, my parents let me do whatever I wanted to do because they knew I wasn't a nut and I wasn't a fool. And so everything I have is I was never taught this stuff. So I'm not saying it can't be taught, because it can definitely be taught, but mine is definitely innate. It's just one day I just woke up and was like, fuck it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's heavy. So yeah, that's what I was going to tell you, Coco, what you said earlier about that whole making it a point to don't ever be envious of people who had to grow up that street life, because I can tell you at the age I am now, with the people that I've known growing up, in the very beginning especially, a lot of the men who came to me for advice were the ones who had that fundamental street smart, but realized you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. And going back to what Stephen said, there really is a conspiracy against anyone who doesn't attain a certain level of understanding or information. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
By the way, Coco, I saw that when you were gone, you had a little logo. What does your logo mean?
It's for my YouTube channel. I do more fashion and like DIY things.
DIY?
Yes.
Sounds fun.
Do it yourself.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think a lot of us, didn't listen growing up. We listened a lot. You have to be able to take direction and correction, and a lot of people struggle with that. They don't want to listen to people. They don't want to, have correction. And so that is a huge part of the problem.
And where do we get off the boat then? How do we get off the boat? How do we get into a situation where the conspiracies are no longer going after us, are no longer negatively affecting us? How do we get out?
I don't know. I try to put myself out there as much as possible so people can see that it's actually a possibility. But when you have that, like you're saying, the conspiracy theory, negative thinking, I don't know. I guess we have to start from the children because adults don't freaking listen.
For me, I think it's a choice. Either you choose to believe it or you
We have to
don't. And even
start
if you do believe it, for me,
early.
it's a choice if you choose to let that keep you down or let that affect what you're doing in your life. That's only a choice you can make. No parent, no educational system can make it for you. At the end of the day, we're all going to make our choices. We could grow up in this exact same household and all be different people. Educated person, a drug addict, a street smart hustler. It just depends on what you decide you want to do. And I think that's what comes down to conspiracy. It decides what you want to believe. It all happens in your mind.
That's true.
Wow.
That's kind of like the reparenting thing my sister was talking about, where you guys said you hadn't heard of it, but it's basically, from what I understood, is where once you get to like an adult age, you find yourself having to parent yourself and teach yourself things that maybe your parents did not teach you or you were not instilled in you. So as you're moving forward as an adult, you're still having to like be your own parent to teach yourself and move yourself forward, is how it was, I understood it.
Well, to me, that just sounds like adulting. I mean, people shouldn't be stagnant. People should always be growing and be willing to learn.
Basically, you should constantly be learning. But I mean, I guess if you never learned from the beginning, then how can you, and that goes back to what Stephen was saying. If you never learned in the beginning and were trained to learn, you're not going to do it as an adult. I always loved learning. I would, just take up a book and be like, let me read it, So, it like you're saying, Coco, you have to want to. So I don't know where that ends and where that begins and stops.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's not about where you came from, what your parents were or what they taught you, or, like Roxanne, you said adulting. It's called adulting. When you become an adult, you can't blame your parents for your actions and what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
where does that begin and end?
Exactly. And that's only a part 18 years of your life, of hopefully a long life you have to live. So I'm 50 and I'm talking about when I was 7 years old and my mama did such and such and such. No.
55.
So, exactly. So it's like you have to make the conscious decision to say, okay, yeah, I might have came from this whatever childhood, but this is what I'm going to be, period.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we're kind of bringing it home now. I don't know necessarily that we solved any problems in the world, but I always like to bounce ideas off different people and the different minds that I have around me. What I want to do while we round this up, starting with RK, tell us how to find you online and where you are and do some self-promotion.
Okay. Starting with me. I think you said me. I'm not sure. Is that what you said? You said RK. I'm like, I do have RK in my name, so that must be me. Unique is my name. Well, Unique Rose is my first name, but UniqueTravels.tv on Facebook and on YouTube. And I have plenty of videos, and you can message me any questions anytime. I answer all questions and all comments, stupid or not.
Yeah, I bet you get tons of those.
Tons, but it's okay. It's okay,
Roxy, you're up.
Hi, thank you. I just want to say we didn't talk about the wellness and the drug and the farming industry in terms of conspiracies. That would have been an interesting topic to explore. My name is Roxana Bangura, and you can follow me on the Bangura Chronicles or Roxana Bangura. Just Google me, and you should be able to find me.
You're on mute.
I said, aren't you about to go live on your channel, Roxana? And isn't that something you could bring there?
Yes, I'm going live on my channel. Not necessarily my channel, but it's more just like an open Q&A because I've been promising to go live. So I'm just going to have the opportunity for people to actually have my audience kind of maybe steer the direction of the talk.
Okay, and if you want to do it on this format, I can show you how to do it, and you can just send them the link, unless you want to do it some other way. But I'm here if you want it.
Okay, I know. I'll reach out to you. You'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Coco? How many Cocos are
there? I don't know, but I'm the only bunny one. But my name is Kristen. I'm from Atlanta. And I also have a YouTube channel and Instagram, Facebook for my fashion stuff. I do a lot of sewing, crocheting for full figure models, and that's my passion, my niche. And I love DIY, so any kind of DIY stuff will be on my channel at the Bunny Den. And I'm traveling. I teach online.
You know what, Coco? You like DIY, and so do I. I've got a couple projects. Actually, one I'm going to show you. Have you ever done any Crayola art?
I want to try it, but I haven't done it yet.
Ooh, this guy. I'm going to send you some information on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Elise?
My name is Elise Robinson. You can check me out on my blog, which is my name, eliserobinson.com. I got a YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook page, all that good stuff. So you can follow me there, Instagram. And then my business, I help people move abroad, overseas, and that is beaforeigner.com. Sweet and simple, beaforeigner.com.
And this is what I want everyone to do, especially in the group chat. I just left a link, which is the outside link to the video that we're doing now. I want everyone in the comment section to leave that information again. Hey, here's my name, here's my channel, so that people who are watching this later can just look down in the comments, find you, click on it.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Even me, because I'll add you to my role of people. If we're not all subscribed to each other, everybody subscribe to each other. When you see each other online, share it. Share it on your timeline. Share it on your feed. You never know when that one connection is going to be there.
Okay. Yes. Post all your things, and I will follow you all if I'm not already. I've been to your website a few times, so Elise and
I try to have
I've watched your videos and read your things, so I know. Well, I wouldn't say I know, but I've talked to and associated with these people. You know.
Well, I follow everybody. I follow everybody. So. Yeah, and I follow everybody. I'm gonna follow Bunny. I'm gonna follow Kristen soon because
Bunny, when you put your stuff in the comments, it's gotta go there as well. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take us offline, and we're gonna go back to the private chat, and I might have some information for you guys. So, Nicole, stop, Nicole, you just got here. We were just wrapping up. Nicole, can you hear me, Sister Nicole? Nicole can't hear it. And she's just chewing her bubble gum, looking at the screen.
And now she's saying, I can't hear.
Uh-oh. All right. We got to log off.
She's gone.
Nobody go anywhere. Don't move.